Hi everybody, Matt Lawton here. This is the Astrological Winds channel. I'm going to take a look at the astrological weather forecast for the week of April 26th through May 2nd. And first off, I'd like to apologize to anybody who gets messenger bombed from me. I got hacked into this past week, so everybody on my messenger list got some kind of weird link or something that was not from me. So hopefully that is resolved. I've shut down my messenger and Facebook account for a while until I'm sure that the situation's cleared up. So once again, all the more reason to sign up for the channel. Don't rely on me to social media bomb you and remind you every week that the channel is doing a forecast. So please just sign up on the YouTube and become a member, turn on your notifications, and you'll never miss an episode unless you choose to do so. Anyway, all right, let's start this week. Is all about this full moon on today, Monday night. We've got a full moon in Scorpio at 7 or 8 degrees, and it's not only opposite the sun in Taurus, but it's also opposite Uranus and Mercury and Venus, all in Taurus, and all of them in a T-square, all of them squaring Saturn in Aquarius. So we have a fixed T-square of some of the most stubborn signs in the zodiac going on, and locked into our Saturn-Uranus square, which is the main energy of this year, as we watch structures fall apart and get replaced rapidly by new things, some of which stick, some of which do not. We're seeing this in the world, we're seeing this in our lives. So this full moon is going to be a really intense one. If you remember, the second side of the zodiac, the side that starts with the sign Libra, is the relationship-oriented side of the zodiac. So now we have a full moon in Scorpio. And if you think about Libra being the first sign on the relationship side of the chart, or zodiac, that's like that initial going out and making the connection with someone. So then we come to Scorpio, the second sign, and that's where relationships deepen and get really into the depths, so that you start to see all the energy underneath. You don't just get to see that nice Libra kind of like, look at all my beautiful side and never mind my shadow side, because Scorpio energy is going to bring up the shadow side in relationships. And so the moon is actually in what we call fall when it is in Scorpio. And that's one of the weakest signs that it can be in. And it's because of the intensity of the emotions taking us down to such dark, deep places in the psyche, and at times getting us into games of emotional manipulation. It's driven by jealousy and betrayal and things like that. So the moon is already in this very intense, deep sign, and then it's going up, and it's also very stubborn. All these fixed signs are very stubborn. So it's going up against the sun in Taurus, which is the opposite of Scorpio's depth on the emotional level. The sun in Taurus, rather than dealing with emotional stuff, wants to put its energy into the material world, into sensual pleasures, into the physical or surface things. It doesn't want to get into the deep, dark emotions of the psyche. It would much rather sweep that stuff under the rug and do something in the real world instead. So we have this very intense T-square going on. And a T-square, creates two 90-degree angles so a triangle like that. So very, very tense. And so there's an open end to that triangle, and that is on Leo. And it's very interesting how all this will work, because the moon dispositor, the ruler of the full moon, in Scorpio is Mars, and the moon is actually making a nice trine to Mars. But Mars is in Cancer, in a weak sign for Mars. Another sign where the emotions get a grip, like Scorpio does, and a lot of times influence the way we make our decisions and what we're doing. So it's very, very interesting energy because both the moon and the moon's dispositor are both in a weak sign, both in the sign of fall. So we're going to have a tendency to fall back into old habits in the way we deal with things in these situations, and that can get us stuck, and that's where that Saturn energy of being restricted by the way we deal with things, by the way we try to form things, by other people in our lives, by the structures we've built into our lives. Those things keep, maybe holding us back in this stuck position. So it's really, we're going to see this really play out in relationships. There may be a lot of energy focused on how we are seeing relationships and the stuff that bubbles up from the subconscious, from the psyche, the deep stuff that Scorpio can bring up. And here's this full moon, and it's shining its light onto all that stuff, onto the stuff how we get stuck in habits. And it's very hard to break out of those habits, especially in the physical world, and how that can basically a lot of stuff is being unsaid in relationships, and it starts to fester, and it starts to turn into this darker, more shadowy energy where we start to kind of make moves behind the scenes, kind of in secret and covert, and we're kind of moving things around, trying to manipulate things into the way we want them to be. So this is gonna, this can set up a great fall for us by messing around with energy and then having stuff come up and getting into some intense battles with others, because we got that opposition energy going on. And part of the opposition is a moon opposite the Venus, which will affect a relationship. So, Venus in Taurus that really wants that sweet, nice, practical, bring in the family, let's not bring up anything ugly. And here's this moon in Scorpio showing where there's a lot of strain in relationships, in families, with friends, people like that. Then we also have the Mercury over there in Taurus too, also in a very stubborn way of thinking, wants to think things through very slowly. And here's the thing, when the moon is opposite Mercury too, it's doing the same thing that Scorpio will do, that Cancer will do, and that is subconscious energy, stuff that was learned behaviors from the past that at one time might have had a lot of value and worked for us, is now staining the way that we communicate and relate to others. So basically our communications and our intellect is being under the influence of our emotions, and a lot of the decision-making processes that we're making right now are just under the influence of highly emotional stuff coming from our inside. Some these shadows coming from our inside, we're seeing it in other people, and it's really coming from us too. So it's very, very interesting on that level too. And then you get the Uranus over there. And so the moon opposite Uranus is listen, I'm going to make some snap decisions about wanting what I consider my freedom or my individuality. And this can really make waves. It can really be one of these things. Here's the thing, right? Uranus is bringing in this rebellious, individualistic energy, right? But in these fixed signs, what a lot of that rebellion may be within you is the rebelliousness to still hold on to who you actually think you are. and what you actually think you should be doing and the ways you've always been going. So that can be a rebelliousness too, when all the rest of the world is going another way, when you're being pushed another way, and you're sitting there being stubborn, like, no, I'm not going to change that. That's a rebelliousness too. That's a flippant energy. That's like, I don't care. So that's where this Uranus energy, when it's tied in with Taurus and all this fixed sign stuff, it may not be bringing that change quick enough. It's interesting too, because Saturn is in Aquarius, where it is saying, hey, we do need to update these structures and forms in our lives and improve them, which is what Uranus wants to do. But somehow Uranus has kind of got this callous energy going on right now, being fed by that Scorpio moon, that like, oh, look at, I didn't get, I want this, I want to do this, I want to control this, I want to coerce this, I want to manipulate this. It's pulling back and like maybe putting you out on an island more and more and more, and so it's interesting too, because you would think the trine to Mars is like, well, yeah, do what you have to do, be that person who you have to be, find your own harmony, find your own balance. And even the Leo open end is saying the same thing. It's like, you got to express yourself. You need to be who you truly are first. You can't be doing things for other people first. You'll find the right relationships by being that first. But remember, all these fixed signs not only get stuck in their position, but they can get very pompous and arrogant about being in that position too. So that Uranus energy may not be the complete revolution you're actually looking or needing yet. It's actually maybe taking a step back and being like, no, I'm just going to be this strong individual of who I always was, and I'm going to stick in my ways. And even Saturn's like, it might be time to address some of that stuff. But, remember too, Saturn's going to also be representing those people and those places and those things and situations that are blocking us. So that may be where a lot of that rebellious energy of Uranus wants to come out. But yeah, so very, very interesting full moon going on. And I just think like, there is this opportunity with the Mars and the Leo to really shine and express yourself, but we're really, really going to be batting heads with who we've been, how our relationships have been defined before, and with all that water energy going on, it's going to be really, really hard on the emotional level. It's like emotional turmoil kind of going through all that stuff and having to make those changes. And and it's intense energy. Remember, like I said the other day, right now Mars has been moving between the horns of the bull, and there's just been like a lot of very intense energy. The horns of the bull, the stars and those horns are the use of weapons, to make things better or worse, depending on what your viewpoint is. So we've seen a lot of mass shootings, we've seen a lot of police shootings, a lot of like violent energy churning up again in the last few weeks since Mars has been there. This full moon can feed that energy if it's not aware of what's going on. And even the trine to Mars in the Leo side can get very, very subjective and closed down and not willing to let more in, that to allow the real changes in, to actually want to just be stuck on that same spot. So it's a very interesting, intense full moon. It's at 7-8 degrees Scorpio, opposite 7-8 degrees Sun in Taurus. So look to the two houses in your chart that those 2 points fall in. 7 degrees, 8 degrees Scorpio, 7-8 degrees Taurus. Those are the 2 houses in your life where you're going to be really feeling a lot of this tension and this energy. And then, of course, if you have any planets or points that are at 7 or 8 degrees too, particularly in fixed signs, they are going to be triggered and be a part of the energy of this full full moon hitting you, but it's a very strong one, a very intense one, and it's going to have a lot to do with relationships and, just feeling stuck. And is it you that's stuck? Is it the relationship that's stuck? Is it the other person stuck? It's likely all three. And it's just like needing some kind of new form or something, but it's still holding on for dear life on all those old forms. And we can see that going on in the world too. We can see so many systems in the world that are so much under a stress, and all of us thinking, somehow or another they're going to make it, and they're not going to need to change their form very much. And that's just really burying our heads in the sand. We have to get out. We need to make a bigger change than that, rather than going back into this fixed energy and becoming like this callous, rebellious person for sticking to the old way instead of a new way. All right, and to add to all that flavor, I mentioned this in the monthly, all the planets, not the asteroids, but all the main planets have been going direct for several weeks now. And this week on Tuesday, Pluto will be the first one to return to retrograde. So after 7 months of being direct, Pluto is going to go retrograde for the next 5 months or so. And it really is a time we're going to look at these last 7 months and all the events that have happened to us. And we're going to be chewing that over for the next 5 months about what that actually means to us and how we can use what we've learned these last 7 months to transform ourselves. So how fitting is that for Pluto, who's actually the co-ruler or has affinity with the Scorpio full moon, to actually be stationary and turning retrograde just when this full moon that's going to expose all that deep psyche stuff is also happening. How amazing astrology lines up like clockwork over and over. So this full moon is going to show you a lot of that garbage, a lot of that stuff that's related to relationships and being stuck in material ways that you're not able to get out of. And we're going to get to chew on it for 5 months. We're going to get to see for these next 5 months. And remember, Pluto is a planet that's going to affect the whole collective too. So there's going to be a lot to think about for the next 5 months in the collective about the way we do things in relation to resources and things like that, especially with that Pluto also squaring Ceres this week one more time. Ceres is the goddess, the mother goddess. She represents fruitfulness, productiveness, mothering energy, nurturing energy, our food, our production, the things we need that are under stress right now. We see the prices of things going up. We see that there's a lot of shortages going on. We really, Earth signs, that Uranus Earth sign, the material way is being shaken up. And it will be shaken up for the next 5 years. We need to learn to deal with new ways of doing this, or we're really going to be just scratching our fingernails across the chalkboard as we're going down. Ouch, really. We don't want to go that way, do we? So Tuesday, Pluto going retrograde. Also, Tuesday's kind of a little bit of a weird day, too. We got Sun semi-square Neptune and Mercury semi-square Mars, which are two very different energies. The Sun-Neptune semi-square is just being frustrated about your ideals not being able to be put into the real world and kind of maybe being self-deluded, so to speak, on stuff like that. And whereas the Mercury-Mars is this really ornery, angry energy that comes out verbally many times. So, maybe that's what's going to happen, that frustration of feeling stuck about our ideals may end up coming out as ornery words, like, being projected out, probably not being projected in a healthy way. So that's something to look at tomorrow on Tuesday. It might be a good day to try to just, keep that stuff in. Wednesday, not much. Moon goes into Sag. Thursday, there's a sweet Mercury sextile Neptune. So that's a really gets the mind into a really creative space. very nonlinear, abstract, philosophical, not very interested in the concrete or practical world, but it's great for imaginative insights, inspirational energy, and really using words in like poetic or artistic ways. So real interesting. Also interest in like the spiritual practices and study. Psychic study of like psychic energy, psychic of the mind, things like energy of the mind, things like that. So real sweet sextile there. Also that day, that's also the day that Pluto does the exact square to Ceres, which I touched on. But also interesting that day, another interesting semi-square, Venus semi-square Mars, which is tension between the sexes, basically. Just like a lot of frustrated sexual or romantic energy. Best to use to kind of take creative ideas and just put some energy into them. Especially if you don't have an outlet for the sexual energy that can come up with that. On Friday, we've got the annual conjunction of the Sun to Uranus. Remember the old song, Express Yourself? That's Sun conjunct Uranus. Like, express yourself. Whatever you do, do it good. That's Sun Uranus. Sun Uranus is basically be yourself. Honor yourself. Do what you want to do. And it's a time where you can be experimental too. You can break out of your routines. You can break out of your ruts. Try something different. It may shake up the people around you, but they'll get over it. This is your life. This is your life, right? So you need to be who you truly are. That's what Sun Uranus is saying. You need to be that first. You owe no one else anything until you can be who you truly are. Yes, that may make some waves here and there with people, but that's okay. That's okay, because that light, if who you truly are is shining, it will bring the people to you that are supposed to be with you. So really, exciting energy, different energy. Go out and do something different that day. It's definitely rebellious energy too. It's impulsive energy. It's headstrong, and and if it gets too impulsive and flying too high, we can get ourselves into accidents or get ourselves into situations where we didn't think out well enough what the consequences might be. So it can surprise others, but like I said, we really, really need to honor who we are first before we can be anything for anybody else. And then on Sunday, we got a couple nice aspects on Sunday. The first one is Mercury trine Pluto. And with Pluto just stationing retrograde, this is a really great aspect to look really deep within your own self and really see how you operate and what the energies are underneath that are, the influence of how you operate. But it's also like excellent, like your mind is like a laser when it's a Mercury Pluto trine. So you can really cut to the depths of things and really get into stuff on a very, very deep level. So anything that you need to do, like research for, development, information digging, those kind of things. It's just a great aspect to do that under. And also wanting to get your message out, wanting to, show this powerful message you have to the world and getting it out there. So that, Mercury trine Pluto is, gives the ambition and can be very coercive at times, but, this is something that you really feel you need to get out there. But really best to use it on yourself and really looking deeply into yourself. The last aspect of the week I want to mention, if you remember, Mercury and Venus were really close to one another last week. So Mercury's kind of moving a little bit faster now, getting a little bit, starting to separate a bit from Venus, but it's still like they're so close together that as one makes an aspect, the other is making the aspect a couple days later. So, I said Mercury had sextiled Neptune on Thursday. Well, today, on Sunday, Venus will sextile Neptune, and that's a beautiful, beautiful aspect. It really has to do with just having like beautiful ideals, a romantic way of just looking at life in general, like just seeing the beauty around you, seeing the beauty in the people around you, seeing your ideals appeal to. Very good for doing art, a lot of imagination and inspiration and ideas that can be put into art too. So just a really beautiful aspect to end the week on Sunday. All right, so next week we'll do the monthly forecast for May, and we'll also do the weekly forecast. And remember to please sign up. The blog is a free service. It's on YouTube channel. Become a member of YouTube. Hit it as a favorite, and you have to turn on the notifications so that you know when it's coming. But it's every week on Monday usually. It's also available on Spotify, and through Spotify on multiple podcasts. I've heard there's between 10 or 15 of them that have picked it up. So your favorite podcast, just go and look up Astrological Winds channel, and you should be able to find it there. It's a free service. I would urge you to please, please, please send it on to anybody else that you know who's interested in astrology. That would be the best thing you can do for me. If you'd like to send a donation, you're more than welcome to. My email is matthuE823@gmail.com. That's also my Zelle account. That is also the email you can get me to get a reading done. Been doing lots of readings lately, lots of profound, beautiful experiences with people. So do natal charts, predictive readings looking at your next year, relationship charts, children's charts, elections if you need to know the timing of an event, the best timing for it, horary questions if you need to know an answer you're really emotionally distraught over and you can't make a decision, astrocartography, relocation astrology if you're looking to move somewhere else and you need to take a look at that, all kinds of services. I also have classes available on Dropbox, $25 a class. You can take them sequentially as a student or just as one-offs. Once again, just contact me at that email, matthuE823@gmail.com. Once again, I do apologize to anybody who's a Facebook follower and got my messenger did get hacked this week, and I think everybody who's a Facebook follower got some kind of weird link. I've shut those accounts down for at least a week or two, and so you won't be able to find the link on that for a little while until I'm sure that's all cleared up. Anyway, full moon tonight. Go up and see it. Take a look at it. Honor that full moon. Try to use the depth of the Scorpio energy, the trine to the Mars, to really look into yourself. Use all that Sun Uranus energy to change, to make the changes that you have to be, to honor yourself first so that the rest of the world around you can start to change too, because the rest of the world around you is not going to change the way you want it to until you make those first steps to do that yourself. All right, this is Matt Loughton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. I will see you all next week, and you enjoy your week and this full moon.